A very good morning to you all. It's a Sunday. It's morning in Johannesburg, South Africa. It might be afternoon or evening in some other places. So, to those that are in Southern Africa, a very good morning to you all. Good afternoon to those which is afternoon to them, and a good evening if it is evening wherever you are. As we promised, it's a Red Sunday. We are doing our brief political education. We started last Sunday discussing various issues of interest. Last Sunday, we spoke about the sanctions that were imposed against the political leadership in Zimbabwe. Today, on this Red Sunday, we want to draw lessons from the South African local government elections. We are discussing the South African government elections and we are asking the questions, what lessons for Zimbabwe? Has Zimbabwe learned anything from the South African local government elections? Someone once said that Zimbabweans are glued to to South African politics. If you ask any Zimbabwean, be in Zimbabwe or outside Zimbabwe, they are very, very, very much aware of the political developments in South Africa. We actually follow the events more than we follow in other countries. In some cases, more than we follow our own events. So this is what is happening. I am Mabuto Nicholas Mabena, General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends so that we continue to have this discussion around the South African elections, and if there are any lessons that can be learned by us Zimbabweans. We will all know that Zimbabwe has generally been having separate elections. That is to say, we used to conduct parliamentary elections on their own, presidential elections separately, and the local government elections. In fact, in 1980, we conducted the parliamentary elections because at the time we didn't have a presidential system. So an elected prime minister were to be a member of parliament for one to qualify to be a prime minister. So we're having parliamentary elections and we had local government elections separately later on. You will know that the Zimbabwean constitution was then amended in 1987 to allow for the introduction of the executive presidency, which we now have the executive president in Zimbabwe, or executive presidency, when the late Robert Mugabe became the executive president in 1988. From 1980, he was a prime minister. So in 1990, we then introduced what is called the presidential election, meaning that the presidential election or the president is elected separately from the members of parliament. But that election was one election together with the parliamentary elections. So when you went to cast your vote, those were around in 1990, you will cast for your president or a person that you wanted to be president. Out would be a ballot paper for that, and then you elect someone that you wanted to be your member of parliament. But again, there was a constitutional amendment in 1996. Before 1996, we then in 1996 we amended the constitution to allow for a president to serve a 6-year term in office, meaning that the person who was elected president in 1990, their term of office was extended to expire in 1996, while the parliamentary elections or the MPs, their term of office was for 5 years and expired or lapsed in 1995. So in 1995, we had separate parliamentary elections from the presidential elections, and the president was elected in 1996 on a 6-year term. You will also know the famous elections of 2002, when the movement for democratic change had been established in 2000, when we had parliamentary elections in 2002, with local government elections, I think it was 2003. Then we had presidential elections in 2002. So we used to have these elections separate from each other. Most residents in cities would agree that from 1980 up to about the last local government election in 2003, which was a standalone election, we had men and women of honor who were running our cities. We had qualified individuals. We had respected citizens who were in charge of our local government. Of course, there were challenges here and there, where in some cases service delivery was not up to standard, but it was far, far much better than what we're seeing today in our cities. If you go to Chitungwiza, Harare, Mutare, you go to Kwekwe, Gweru, Bulawayo, we all agreeing that we've lowered the standard when it comes to running local government in Zimbabwe. This is why we want to draw lessons with the just ended local government elections in South Africa. You will then know that because of ZANU-PF failing to address the succession question, there were particularly at the Goromonzi ZANU-PF People's Conference, annual People's Conference in 2006, when there were discussions to replace the then leader of ZANU-PF, President Mugabe, to have another person taking over from him. Signs were very clear that ZANU-PF was going to approach the 2008 presidential elections not united. You will also recall that it was the time that Dr. Simba Makoni stood as an independent candidate or had his own party, was a member of the Politburo in ZANU-PF. So presidential elections were earmarked for 2008. But sensing defeat, then President Mugabe forced everyone to go into an election in 2008. This is where we resumed what we now know as harmonized elections in 2008. Harmonized elections, meaning that when you go and cast your vote, which is going to be the case in 2023, is that you have 3 ballot papers. One, you vote for your a councillor, a person that you want to be your councillor in your ward. The other one, you vote for a person that you want to be a member of parliament. And the third ballot paper, you vote for a person that you want to be your presidential or to be your president. And of course, you then have the PR system, which is not in the ballot form. Now, what has this meant since 2008? Is that the contestation by political parties is either, the focus is either on the removal of ZANU-PF as a ruling party in Zimbabwe. So political parties will then come together, be in it alliances or electoral pact, trying to ensure that you do not divide the vote so that you achieve the agenda of replacing or removing ZANU-PF as a ruling party. On the part of ZANU-PF, the focus is therefore to keep power, because any political power that is in power, it wants to retain power. It's about retention of political power by the ruling parties. So also, ZANU-PF, the focus therefore is to keep power at all costs. So what therefore this means is that when we go to an election in 2023, the focus is not at a local government level. The focus is not at a parliamentary level. That is the caliber of people that we elect into local government. But the focus is on the presidential. Who do we elect in Zimbabwe to be our president. And currently, as we have always maintained, that Zimbabwe is a two-party system, either it's a ZANU-PF or the MDC alliance. So the focus becomes a contest between the leader of ZANU-PF, current president Emerson Mnangagwa, and Nelson Chamisa, the leader of the MDC alliance. This then means that residents do not interrogate the local government candidates or your council candidates to say, do we at local government have individuals that will deliver on service delivery, that will deliver on the needs of the people at a ward level? So the local government elections, as a result, gets neglected. When we launched the Red October campaign as the Zimbabwe Communist Party in Gweru, in 2019, under the theme Know Your Neighbor, Build Your Community. What we called for when we were in Gweru in 2019 was that there is need to separate the local government elections from the general elections or from the national elections, so that residents will have an opportunity to interrogate the candidates, will have an opportunity to discuss the caliber of an individual that should lead them in the ward. Residents will have an opportunity to discuss the challenges at a ward level, because at this level, the issues that are being discussed, which dominate our political discourse, is about who will go into a state house. This is why even today, the MDC runs a slogan, MDC Alliance, they have a slogan which says, Kapinde Mkoma, Arangene Ujaha. So that is a slogan that is tailor-marked to ensure that Nelson Chamisa goes into state house. That is a slogan that ensures that the whole focus is on the presidential election. It then does nothing, or it does not speak to the councillor for Nkulumane. What kind of a councillor should represent the people of Nkulumane? What kind of a councillor, the caliber of a councillor that should represent the people in Mfakose, and so forth and so forth. Now, what the South African local government elections, which just ended, taught us is that the elections in South Africa were issue-based, were based at a local level. We have seen new parties, regional parties, small parties, either winning seats in the PR system in the South African local government elections, or we have seen them winning, even some of them winning awards, because the political debate or the electoral contestation was issue-based at a ward level. So you have smaller parties, whether it's a party that is in Free State, which is not national, which only focuses in issues that affect the people in Free State. It then gets elected on the basis that it is focusing on community-based issues. This also made that in this past election, in the South African local government elections, we saw community organizations, community-based organization taking a serious interest in the South African local government elections, because the elections were about community issues. They had nothing to do who should occupy union buildings. They had nothing to do who should be in the National Assembly in Cape Town, but they had everything to do about service delivery. A survey which was commissioned by a TV station, ENCA, revealed that South Africans were more worried by one, issues of security. Security in their homes. Gender-based violence is high in South Africa. And South Africans, when they went to the local government elections, in their minds, the issue which preoccupied them to say, how do they, at a local level, working together with what is called the Community Policing Forum, how do you ensure that there is safety in communities? So they went in this election with this in mind to say the biggest challenge that they have in their communities is the issue of security. How does the South African Police Service work with the community policing forums to isolate criminals at a community level? How do communities work together with the South African Police Services and the other security agencies to ensure that women are safe in communities? So that became a key election question in the just ended South African local government election. The second issue, which was key in this past election in South Africa, was the question of service delivery. We have seen in South Africa protests around service delivery, be it ESCOM, this load shedding that is ongoing in South Africa, be it water, clean water, or issues that communities are complaining about and they feel that local government is not addressing them. This became a key question or a key electoral question as South African went to the local government elections. So it afforded the communities to dialogue amongst themselves to say, how do we ensure that one, we are safe in our communities? Two, how do we ensure that at a local level, service delivery happens? This was key throughout the country. Yes, of course, you then have, which might be an exception, when I was checking the poll as conducted by ENCA and also checking countrywide, the issue of migration was very low in all other provinces except in Gauteng and the mail in Johannesburg and Propapuntwane. This is where the issue of migration or the presence of migrants was key. To an extent that Action South Africa, as led by former Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, became number 3 in Johannesburg municipality. But he was not number 3 in Gauteng, he was not number 3 nationally. So while the issue of migration in Johannesburg is a serious problem, as demonstrated by the rise of Herman Mashaba's party in Johannesburg municipality, it is not a key issue that is of concern to the majority of South Africans in all the 9 provinces. The issue is service delivery. The issue is safety in communities. As we go to 2023 elections in Zimbabwe, we will not be talking about service delivery in our local communities, be it rural municipalities. We will not be talking about that. We will not be talking about service delivery in Makokoba. We will not be talking about service delivery in Mkoba. We will not be talking about service delivery in Inyanga. But we'll be focusing on who becomes the president. And it is our well-considered view as the Zimbabwe Communist Party movement in Zimbabwe to participate fully in local issues. But it becomes difficult for residents, associations, and other social movements to do so when we are continuing with harmonized elections. This is why, if we are to draw serious lessons from the South African local government elections, it is high time that in Zimbabwe we separate general elections or parliamentary presidential elections from local government elections, so that citizens, just like South African citizens did, will then speak to issues of service delivery. Will all agree with us, if you are in Zimbabwe and those that normally visit Zimbabwe, that We have gone back to Stone Age in terms of service delivery in our cities. People in Harare do not drink water from the tap. Sewage is flowing all over in all cities. Bulawayo, Harare, Mtare, Gwanda is the same. Stone throwers who have no political education in political parties are given a chance to contest in local government elections. Because it is not about your basic understanding on what local government does. It is about your ability to throw stones against your opponents. We call them stone throwers. If you are seen to be the best stone thrower, you are allocated a ward to stand as a council candidate. Because the reason being, once you stand at a local ward for you to contest as a council candidate, you are therefore expected to ensure that your ward will vote for you as a council candidate, will vote for your party MP candidate, will vote for your presidential party candidate. It has got nothing to do with your ability to deliver services to the people of Zimbabwe or to deliver services to the local people or in your ward. So this is what we thought on this Sunday. Let's have this discussion, draw lessons from the local government elections in South Africa, and begin to say, how do we improve a service delivery in our country? We have recently been receiving reports of a criminality that is now beginning to take root in our country. Many people have been robbed in cities, in Bulawayo, in Harare. These are issues that we should be discussing at local level. We are not discussing issues around healthcare. Is our clinic working? Who works in our local clinic? Are our local schools delivering quality education to our children? What is the condition of our children in the local school? Do our children pass who are no longer engaged in those debates? Because all of us who have been frog marched to say, Kapinde mfana, or Kapinde mkoma, or Gangenu ujaha, or the current president should serve up to 2030. Some these young people in ZANU-PF are saying the constitution must be amended to give him a third term. So that then begins to dominate the political discourse. We are not engaged on that. Who attends to the sick in our local communities? How safe are we in our local communities? Does municipality remove rubbish in our local communities? We are no longer having these discussions. So let us continue to engage. Please write your comments as we engaged on this Red Sunday in this discussion. Thank you so much. As I've said, I am Mabuto Nicholas Mabena, General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Please like the video, share, subscribe so that you continue with the discussion. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.